Hey, it's Kesha. Welcome and welcome back. Today, we're going to explore a few breathing techniques that will help us calm our nervous system, help relieve stress, and allow us to refocus our minds. Um, of course, we recognize that breathing is important. Don't do it for just a few minutes and see what happens, right? Um, but because it's such an automatic thing, we don't necessarily pay attention to it. But if we're working really hard or overly stressed, we may find that we sometimes need to, kind of catch our breath, or we even say that as a phrase, right? Um, and so, if you take a moment right now and just think about it, you probably notice, like, where does your breath go when you breathe in and out, breathe in and out. It's probably only coming down to like the mid chest area. But the breathing mechanism, your diaphragm, it lifts up to expel the air from the lungs, and then when it pushes down, that's where the lungs have an opportunity to expand. So if you're a musician, you're always taught to breathe from the diaphragm. So we breathe all the way down and then out. Now, in some people, when you're not used to breathing, when you're not used to diaphragmatic breathing, the tendency is to, when someone says take a deep breath, you puff out your chest, right? So, but again, that's only expanding the top of the lungs and the top of the chest. You're not getting all the way down and getting a clear and full breath. Now, I certainly wouldn't expect you to walk through your days thinking about diaphragmatic breathing because, how many of us are musicians still, right? And even musicians don't walk around thinking that way. So what I thought I'd bring our attention to were three techniques that you can do anytime, anywhere, even without other people knowing, that can help regulate your nervous system, bring you back to being present, and help calm any stress that you may be having. So the first technique that I want us to explore is called box breathing. And it's called box breathing because we hold the inhale. Well, we have an inhale that's of the same count as long as we hold it, and then we exhale for the same length of time, and then we hold it, and then we inhale again. So you can pick the count that makes sense for you. We'll just do a simple box breath in 4. So just take a moment, close your eyes, shake it out of your system, and now for a count of 4, I want you to breathe in, then we'll hold it for 4, we'll exhale for 4, and then hold it for 4. So let us begin. Inhaling for 4. Holding. Exhaling. Holding. Okay. So we're going to do that for another couple of rounds, and you can go at your own pace. Last round. And breathe in and breathe out in your normal rhythm. And just take a moment to self-assess and see how you feel. Notice that your regular breathing is a little bit calmer, a little bit smoother. You may have noticed that on my exhales, I let it out through the mouth. That's not really that important. I did that so that you could see that I was actively exhaling. But, and I went to a count of 4. If you have bigger lung capacity, you might go for a count of 5. Whatever count makes sense for you, just want to make sure that all 4 parts of the breath are held for equal amounts of time. But just notice how you feel a little bit lighter, a little more focused. So the next technique that I want us to try together is alternate nostril breathing. This is great for when you're feeling scattered, because it activates both sides of your brain. And I always find that after alternate nostril breathing, there's just more of me present. And I don't know where it comes from, except that it makes me realize that I've scattered parts of myself around and let myself I've let myself get taken away by the events I'm witnessing. And the alternate nostril breathing has a way of bringing me back to all of my power and focusing my mind, and I feel renewed and rejuvenated just after a few moments of breathing. So with alternate nostril breathing, it is exactly that. We'll start, so your hands are up. I'm using my right hand because I'm right-handed, but you can start with the right or the left. We're going to put our right thumb next to our right nostril and breathe in through the left, exhale through the left, and then with our ring finger, press the left nostril and then breathe in on the right and exhale on the right, and then switch the thumb again to the other side. So let us begin. Right thumb to right nostril, breathing in on the left and out. Ring finger to left nostril, breathe in and out. Right thumb to right nostril and out. Breathe in and now resume your regular breathing. And notice how if before maybe one nostril was a little clogged, but as you breathe through the cycles, it started to clear. And now when you're breathing, it's much easier on both sides. I feel a certain a tingling in my head, like, oh, I'm getting all this oxygen, you know. I definitely feel like my air passageways are clear, even though I didn't think there was an issue before. I feel like my shoulders are better aligned, and there's now space, you know, in my chest for the breath. And just notice how you feel and take that in. Now, granted, the alternate nostril breathing may be a little more difficult to do necessarily if you're in public, but you can be more, quiet and subdued about it. You know, maybe it's right. So you can be a little more discreet in holding the nostril. But that's where I find that having box breathing as a technique is also helpful. The next technique, well, I'll start by saying sometimes there's nothing more advanced than the basics. And so this third technique is simply deep breathing. And I say simply because we're always told to take a deep breath before we move into something unknown. But that's not the only time we can access that breath. And it is definitely something that you can do while you're waiting in line, while you're waiting for something to happen, or just in a moment where you feel like the day is starting to get away from you a little bit. And this goes back to my earlier comment about breathing from the diaphragm. You want to think of breathing the breath all the way down, if not to the diaphragm, think about bringing it all the way down to the toes. You want to breathe down and as deep as possible. And slowly and gently release it. Another deep breath in. And out. Another deep breath in. And out. Deep breath in. And out. Now take a moment to check in. And just resume your regular breathing. And just notice how everything seems to be calmer and at peace. You are now calmer and at peace. Breathing, y'all, it's something we do every day, all day. But with these techniques, I hope it brings your attention to the breath, and maybe when it's not as full as it could be, and it gives you some options to regulate your stress levels and help bring them down, bring you back centered and calm in the moment, and allows you to move forward with the rest of your day. And so that's what we'll do. Until the next time, bye.